to the Australian Herpetoculture podcast. I'm your host, Jason.
And I'm your co-host, Luke.
Good, mate. How are you?
Good, man. Well, here's Luke, the other Luke. I think Luke got confused there. This is Luke Jongens. I pronounced your last name correct?
Yep.
Awesome. So welcome to the podcast, mate. It's good to have you on.
Awesome to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure.
Been a long time between drinks, mate, eh?
Yeah. Been a couple.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to have a drink with you after the Penrith Reptile Expo, I think, this year.
Yeah, that was a good little turnout with us. Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, I was going to come, but I had to duck off home. Big drive.
Missed out, mate.
So.
Missed out.
I know. I think it's, I know. Josh had kids too, but his kids were 8 hours away, so.
It's a long drive home.
It's a bit bigger than me.
Is that Josh? Yeah. Josh Thompson? Yeah.
Mine was only just from back up to the coast.
But it's still a long drive for you, though.
Yeah, it's about, I think about an hour 45, 2 hours, I think, depending on traffic. So, but yeah, raced home, see the kids. I was keen for a beer, though.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Yeah, it was good. It was good to, obviously the Reptile Expo was, lots of people there and so on and so forth. But it was nice to just sit down with a couple of good people that, some of like yourself, Jason, I hadn't seen you for a very, very long time. And yeah, it was just good to catch up with a couple of people. Obviously moving to Queensland, I didn't see everyone as frequently as I had been. And yeah, it was good just to sit down and properly chill, meet a couple of new people, Luke yourself.
Yeah.
And finally met Tyson. So that was good. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was good. That I always like doing that as well because, I was kind of half considering, I'm like, nah, I should probably go home too. But I'm like, nah, this is where all the good chat happens, It is good to stand around and talk to everybody at an expo, but you really get a bit more deep into things over a beer with some really keen hobbyists.
Yeah, so the expo is a lot of like general chit chat and, oh, hey, I've met you on Instagram or I've met you through this group or something and this. But when you actually sit down, it's definitely much
a bit rushed too. Like
everyone wants to have a chat with you.
Decent convo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure at those expos sometimes, especially if you are kind of standing around advertising.
I can imagine. So, props to you guys. You did a good job. Yeah, I don't know how I'd feel about that.
I enjoyed
it. Yeah, we might do it again sometime.
Definitely.
Yeah,
the guys at the Hawkesbury Herpetological Society were really good to us, and they threw a great event.
Yep.
So yeah, we'd come back if they asked, no doubt.
100%.
Nice.
Yeah. So anyway, mate, we've got a list of questions to get through, and there's also some juicy questions and stuff that we want to get into later, no doubt. So we're just going to fire off the bat with kind of like a bit of a generalized introduction to yourself for people that don't know you. But what kind of originally got you interested in reptiles or wildlife in general?
So look, my story in terms of getting into reptiles is no different to most of the people who are hardcore into it. My house back in Sydney, where I grew up, backed onto Coringa Chase National Park. So, I was always in the bush every day after school, catching lizards and turtles and bringing them home and sticking them in a bathtub or God knows what, doing all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I was in the bush every single day. If David Attenborough wasn't on TV, I was in the bush. So, it started with that, and then I got into dinosaurs, and then that kind of fostered up the reptile thing. Oddly, I got into fish first. My dad had a massive tank of neon tetras, and he used to breed them. And I don't know what happened. I just got into plecos and bristlenose catfish and managed to breed them and started selling them when I was 5 or 6. And my dad obviously helped me with that and started doing that until I was 8 or 9. And then I remember reading a book and I was trying to build nest boxes to hang up in the trees in the garden. And at the back of it, it basically said that you could own a pet snake. And if you contacted the Australian Herpetological Society, you could do that. And I got all excited over that. So my parents said, oh, well, if you save your money up, you can buy a snake. So started talking to the Australian Herpetological Society and bred enough bristlenose catfish to buy a snake, which was a spotted python from Bob Whitty back in the day when a spotted python would fetch you $400. So, I achieved that by the time I was 10 or 12. And, then one snake turned into 2 and you know the rest of it. 200 later.
220.
The snowball.
Yep. It's a dangerous slope that everyone goes down.
Yeah. I swear to God, everyone experiences it once.
Oh, yeah. I'm still experiencing it. You only have to have half a look around behind me.
Yeah.
I'm re-experiencing it.
You're just back in, Jace.
Like I got out and I'm back in and I'm like, oh no. And
you've hit yourself hard.
People, it's like,
that's it.
Man, I know. That's why I'm trying to keep the books. Like the books are trying to stopping me from getting other stuff. So.
Yeah, it feels it's good to have another hobby to keep you away from it, which I believe we'll be talking about soon. But So anyway, that's how I got into it, pretty much.
Well, Bob Withy's a good character to get in with the first pet from as well. He's a pretty classic herper out there, and he's got a stack of good stuff.
Yeah. Is he still in the hobby?
He was at the expo selling his wares. Oh, okay. So I'll definitely say he was there. Yep. He was selling some knobtail geckos and a few pythons.
Cool.
I think I bought some DeGray Station Womas off him a few years back, and also some Northern Blueies. Yeah, I got some Northern Blueies off him as well. He's a nice guy. Yeah, no, he's classic old timer. Been in it for a very, very long time. Oh yeah. So when you did kind of like start down that snowball, what was the kind of like the catalyst? Like, did you have kind of a bunch of species that you kind of like came and went with, or did you have something that you really got into?
Nah, it was open a field guide, and I wanted every single thing in the field guide situation. Obviously, being in backing onto a national park, there's so much to see, and as I swear you get into keeping, and you realize there's so much more than what you realize. Obviously, everything that existed in my backyard was kind of it to me. You start keeping and you learn about different species, different localities, and so on and so forth. And then I went down the locality bandwagon of wanting different locality spotted pythons and children's pythons and stimmies. And it just was out of control. Like I said, it started with one snake. That snake turned into a pair. Then I bought a pair of cat and children's pythons, and then I started working with Anthony Stimson, just volunteering for him when I was really young. He didn't pay me, but any leftover stock that he had, basically at the end of the breeding season, he actually used to just offload to me. So I've got quite a few snakes quite quickly through that, and then just everything, eh?
So not just snakes though, if I'm not mistaken. You got into lizards.
It started with snakes, mostly pythons. Obviously, it's a trend if you want to do it with that, to have a snake or get a couple. So I probably went down that way a little bit, and it took me a little while to get into the lizards, but when I did, they actually took over, and I prefer lizards now. When I did, I can't even remember what the first lizard I got was, but I've had everything, I think, just about.
So as far as like lizards are concerned, did you have kind of like a favorite group? Like, did you prefer goannas or geckos or?
Jason would know. I went pretty hardcore into the geckos for a while there. Yep. They were probably
We used to chat for ages about geckos.
Yeah. I had a bit of everything before that sort of happened, and then I turned 18, and I kind of went down a bit of a bad loop there. Just with the partying and stuff, and kind of went off the reptiles a little bit. I still had stuff, but not as much as I did. And I actually used, I saw on Reptile Classifieds a dude selling 10 Exoterras for $400, and I was like, I've just got to get on that. So I bought them, and they were all perfect size for Stropurus. So I decided to get into Stropurus because I had a full setup. So I was like, I'll use these to try to stay away from partying a bit and put my money into something else. And as Jason knows, one trio of Stropurus turned into, 40 trios, and it escalated a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I guess you could say, sorry, go.
No, I was going to say, pretty much we were chatting every day about Stropurus.
Literally different potential species and localities, and it was crazy. I
flicking articles to each other and book
I think at
pictures.
Yeah, I think at my peak, I like not just Drapurus. I think at my peak with the geckos, I probably had around 250 adults. Yeah, it was just insane. Yeah, I kind of get a bit excited about things and start buying everything.
And you're like, man, Luke, you're addicted to extra
yeah,
too.
frother, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was
cheap.
Yeah.
No.
I remember we'd just send like secondhand Exoterra ads. To
this one's near you. Quick buy
it. Oh, I can't get it. This one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, then you end up with the rooms full.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
man, 250 adult geckos. Yeah.
That's
but hey, the Exoterra rooms look good. It's a wow factor every time someone
100%.
walks in. It's good.
Yeah.
They are a good enclosure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting closer to my end goal of having all these things filled with like proper backgrounds and stuff that I've made in them. And
you know what the problem with that end goal is?
It never ends.
You'll reach it and then you'll know you want more.
Yeah, I've only got limited space before my wife kicks me out. So
yeah, you'll end up in a commercial warehouse.
That sort of ceiling. Maybe Jason and I should go halves in a shed.
Just start a zoo or something.
Start our own little lizard
reptile
lab.
house.
For sure.
That'd be a bit of fun. So, do you currently keep any reptiles at home?
My housemate has quite a number of them. I've actually not got anything at the moment, which is a blessing. Actually, it's really nice to just take a proper break from it. I do have a couple of animals, just there with friends and so on. So I wasn't able to. I would have brought one snake up, which was my Western brown snake. He's a good snake, but I couldn't get my permits approved up here. They weren't too happy about me just going straight onto an advanced keeper's permit here. So I just rode him off to a friend's, and I'll just take a little break. And once that all gets sorted, I'll eventually get him back. And then I've got a few albino olive pythons with a friend in Brisbane, and yeah, they're just sort of sitting with him. So yeah.
What are they like?
I hate them.
The albino olive?
I hate them. Yeah, worst investment I've ever bought. Yeah.
Have you got any clutches out of them?
We bred them this year. So the female albino unfortunately threw a full clutch of slugs. So I think she had 15 eggs, and every single one was a slug, unfortunately. And the het one that we have is due to lay any day. So hoping a full clutch comes from that. But yeah.
Was that head to head?
Head to albino.
Albino. Yeah. So okay.
Sweet. Hopefully get some more albinos. But yeah. Yeah. So I think we got 5 in total, 3 females and two males. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I've had so many moments where I'm like, I need to take a break from this, but I find something that just keeps pulling me back into it. I think at least you've got a pretty legitimate excuse from, getting out of it a little bit. And
yeah. I think I can talk about that if you really want. What actually got me really fed up with the whole thing. I don't know if you guys are too aware. I was kept pretty quiet with my name on it, but I had a joint collection with Josh Hatton with Diamond Pythons. So on Instagram, I was diamondpythons.au or .com, or I don't know what I've called it. But I had 36 Diamond Pythons, and with the 36 diamonds, obviously most of them were Josh's, but I had a couple thrown in there. But I had several other things, and I had probably 70 or 80 lizards alongside of that as well. And I just had a really terrible breeding season go down. I lost a female blue tree snake. I quietly had a couple of them and lost her getting egg bound, and I didn't actually pick up that she was gravid and she got egg bound. And by the time we went through surgery and everything, lost her. I had 2 diamonds get egg bound, so both of them needed surgery to get saving. Lost both the clutches for them. And then I had, what else happened? I had an accident happen with a diamond. I don't quite know what happened, but it broke its spine somehow. And it was still able to move and everything, but it was just not okay. So decided to euthanize that after a lot of, x-rays and everything. And that all went through a uni vet, so that had pretty high prices on it. And that was all through COVID. So when I'd lost both my jobs to COVID, so I was sitting on like $500 a fortnight or something, whatever the government supplements were. So I think it racked up about $6,000 in vet bills, which was just, it really fucking killed it, to be honest. So after that, I offloaded a lot of stuff and tried to hold on to it.
Because you have some cracker diamonds too.
Yeah, they're good. They're good snakes. They're all with one particular person at the moment. So Josh and I don't have our fingers in that pie anymore. But someone else has decided to take them on, and he'll be doing very well with them. So but as I said, really it was a real low blow, and it wasn't just one or two things. It was a lot of things that happened, and I just had enough of it. It really killed it. So,
well, good on you for being able to speak out about it, because honestly, that's something that this hobby doesn't see enough of, and it's something that I try to portray a little bit over YouTube and stuff myself. You know, like, you know, we all make mistakes and shit happens. So you know, it's always good to be able to talk about it, and if it saves somebody else from having a problem, or if it's a learning experience, then it's all better.
That's it.
And you're starting to see it a bit more too, as well, from other keepers as well.
I think people are realizing shit does happen, and there's nothing you can do about it. I've had a real good run keeping reptiles. Like, I've lost very little animals, and you know, those that I have been, you know, when I was either very young or complete freak accidents. Like, there's never really been too much in the way of, I don't know, too many muckers. I'm sure I fucked up somewhere, but it's this year. I mean, you can have as many animals as you want, and it's easy enough to look after them. But when something goes wrong, man, it can go really wrong, and it can cost you a fortune. And I experienced a lot of very bad things in a very short space of time, and it hurt a lot financially, physically, mentally. God, it killed me. So you know, it's all good and well having a lot of reptiles, but man, make sure you got money ready for it, because if something goes wrong, you need it.
Well, that's exactly right. That's one thing a lot of people don't think of. They get these, you know, start to amass these relatively large collections, and they don't think of when stuff goes wrong, it costs you money. So.
Oh, yeah. Man,
vets aren't cheap.
No. I remember having to bargain with one of my vets a couple of years ago now, where Loki, she must have got a tail like caught in something in the enclosure, and it just degloved like the last kind of couple of centimeters, you know. And I was just like, I don't want to watch this go, because it was like raw bone sticking out. I'm like, you know, something could go septic, or something could happen there. I'm like, take it off to the vet. And she's like, look, chances are it'll probably heal up and drop off, and it'll be fine. Or you can pay me $900 and we'll chop it off for you. I was like, see you later, wage for the next however long. I want the animal to just be A-okay, and then like trying to keep her happy and out of the water and all sorts. Man, she was a grumpy lizard.
It's amazing where you pull money from when something goes wrong. Like, I don't know where I got all that money from that I had to pay for the vet stuff. Like, it obviously helped my partner at the time. She was a uni student doing vet, so she got discounts and stuff, so that helped. But it was still, I think, about $6,000. It worked out just over $6,000 in the 4 or 5 trips that I did. So, yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So you kind of talked about your diamond pythons a little bit there, and something that I was always really inspired by was some of your mock rock work with that gigantic URS vivarium that you did up, or the terrarium rather. So, I mean, obviously Jason and I are kind of right into our builds and stuff at the moment. So do you just want to elaborate a little bit for the guys at home as to how you kind of put all that in?
It was one of the big URS enclosures. So they're about 4 foot long, 1 meter high, about 50 centimeters deep kind of thing. I managed to get those enclosures real cheap secondhand. I actually got 2 of them, I think for $100 each, to be honest. It was a real steal. So I bought both of them, obviously. I basically started building this enclosure with the envision that I'd always dreamed of as a kid. You know, just diamond pythons were a local python to me. They were the first python I ever found, and they'll always have a soft spot in my heart. but yeah, I always dreamed of having a massive exhibit of just diamond pythons, super high yellow diamonds, and yeah, so I tried to set out and make that happen. It was quite the project. It actually took me about 8 months to build because I was supporting my partner while she was at uni while I was taking a break from uni. So I started doing 2 jobs and I was working about 70 to 80 hours a week. And I got through part of it building it in my garage, and I'm sure both of you are very familiar with the amount of mess that happens with carving foam. And it kind of got to the point that it literally sat on the garage floor, and every time I'd just go in there to start working on it, it was just chaos in there, and I'd just walk out and I'd just say, no, not today. Every time that I had a bit of time to do it. So, yeah, it actually took a very long time to build. But, yeah, I basically drew up a plan of how I sort of envisioned having a big rock ledge and how I kind of wanted it to look. I drew that all up, and I just went through the basic things. Now, I'd built a couple of little backgrounds when I was younger, just trialing stuff. They were pretty rubbish, but I tried it. But, yeah, I guess you could say I'm a bit of I don't want to say perfectionist, but I try very hard to make things look very good. So I actually didn't like my diamond python enclosure when it was finished. I was very unhappy with it, but a lot of people were very impressed with it. Yeah, I didn't like it at all. But, yeah, it was just the standard, polystyrene. So I basically, I can't remember the glue that I used, but I glued big sheets to the back and basically built it on the back. But I'd always planned to have it build into the sides as well. A lot of people just build it straight onto the back, where I kind of wanted mine to be more three-dimensional and actually come right out to the side. So then I glued on the sides as well and had them cut out to where I wanted the ledges. And I managed to pick up a huge amount of polystyrene blocks off Marketplace for free that someone had basically given up on a project they were doing. And yeah, I got literally 2 trailer loads full of these polystyrene blocks for free. So yeah, wow. Basically it made it very easy to make big ledges. A lot of people just use flat sheeting, and it takes a lot of sheets to obviously do the ledges of the size that I had. But yeah, I mean, I basically did that. Where the ledge is finished, I used expander foam to brace it a bit more. So I wasn't convinced that the glue and the skewers and things that I jammed in there was going to hold the weight of a diamond python. So underneath the big ledges, I basically just used the expander foam just to give it some extra support, and then, yeah, carve it away and slap on a few layers of grout. Matt Somerville actually gave me a lot of pointers during the build process of that. He was really fucking awesome because I wanted it to be as good as it could be, obviously. So he sort of just gave me a bit of direction with what to do and how to do it. And yeah, obviously, thanks for that, Matt, if you're listening. Cheers.
No doubt he will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, to have him in your back pocket, and obviously he learned off Christie and stuff about a lot of his mock rocking. Like between those two, they absolutely
they're amazing.
His stuff awesome.
Probably one of the best in the world, I reckon. They're freaking good.
I reckon so.
Yeah.
Every time he puts a picture of an enclosure.
I know. Every time you're just like, God damn, when will it be my turn? Yeah, really good.
100%.
No, that diamond python enclosure, I know I've got that photo saved somewhere in my phone here. Just for when I finally pull my finger out and get to my diamonds one day. That's essentially what I want to try to make it look like. It's just that perfect Cindy sandstone ledge.
Yeah, it's obviously you guys both keeping stuff in bioactive. I started going that way when I was keeping a lot, and I had everything in either bioactive or as naturalistic as possible, depending on what it was. But it was really cool sticking those diamonds from tubs or average enclosures that what they're like as keepers who keep a lot of shit, nothing. They just seeing how much they interacted with the vertical space was awesome. How I had 3 in the enclosure. One particular female would utilize all these little grooves that I'd made out. She'd wrap her tail in the same spot every time she was hungry, and she'd hang off the ledge in an S-shaped position, and she would literally hang above this bush. It was really cool just seeing how they'd interact with that.
Nature.
And yeah, sometimes I'd just take them out and let a rat, because I used to breed rats as well, just let a rat run around it for a little while, and then I'd just throw them back in and just let them smell it, and yeah, they'd go crazy over that, and just changing up a few branches in there. It's definitely the way to go with keeping, I reckon.
100%. Like that's something that I do quite often as well, as even if it's just a frozen rat, like I'll just get one out of the freezer and just like scent mark it around a whole bunch of enclosures or whatever, and just watch them go bonkers trying to hunt for the thing. You know? That's enrichment. That makes their lives a little bit more fun. You know, they're trying to find that feed or whatever, and like my diamond enclosure's crap compared to that thing, but it's still very practical. It's still got a lot of big logs. It's still got like shelves and stuff like that, and I love going in there and see them hanging down in that kind of
it's cool, isn't
hunting. Like it's just unreal.
It is. It's funny because I always thought, like, I've had big collections and I've had things in tubs and always been like, oh yeah, they're fine. And it wasn't until I put the diamonds in that enclosure that I went, this just isn't big enough. Like even at nearly 4 feet high, I was like, yeah, it's not big enough. And then I did trial a couple outside in aviaries, and I had a 2 meter high aviary, and I still think that wasn't enough. Like it's amazing. You start going on this bandwagon of bigger and more lively enclosures, and the more you see the animals interacting with everything, if you put fresh browse in there, whatever it is, you suddenly realise they use every corner. So it's kind of like, oh shit, are we doing the right thing, keeping them in tubs? But I don't want to go down that track.
Yeah, that's it. Nah, I mean everyone does, but they've got their place, I guess. So, I mean, but yeah, just when you change it up and you just see the way they interact with the enclosure, it's just awesome. You can't beat it, really. It's good to sit back and watch.
It doesn't even have to be that crazy, hey? Like one of my favorite things is to get like my father-in-law, he's got a whole bunch of golden cane palms around his place, and quite often he'll cut down a whole bunch of those, and I'll shove them into the diamonds and the roughies and the green tree pythons and stuff, and it's just like, that's just something new for them to smell and crawl over for the next few nights or whatever, you know. Dies, you just turn it into leaf litter and mulch at the bottom of the tank and let it keep going, you know. It just keeps breaking down, and it's not that hard to enrich lives, especially, you know, they are in limited space, as you say. You know, like I'd love to give half these animals, you know, big 3 meter cube enclosures plus. You know, like that'd be awesome. You know, big walk-in things would be unreal, but it's just not feasible.
So sometimes it's not, but as long as you're working in with what you can, and you know they've got the best lives you can give them. So I suppose
exactly.
Yeah. I'll just close down the question.
I guess one thing on that note too is, you know, it's real hard changing from particular setups. Like, you know, if you've got racks, for example, and you've got a rack with just say 20 snakes, and you put one snake in a display enclosure and suddenly realize maybe you should have all of them in there. It obviously costs a huge amount of money to do that, but even just the thought of, you know, potentially going down that road and saying, oh, maybe I can do better, or maybe I can do this or that, and, you know, so on. Even if you alternate the snakes out, I don't know, but it's making progress is better than no progress, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, like we've said numerous times, like you see the trend on social media now, everyone seems to be going down the same path. So, I mean, there'll always be places for tubs. And
completely. Yeah, no, racks have saved my life in some situations.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
When I moved from Gatton to Brisbane, where I was temporarily before I moved here, I didn't have the room to put anything up that I used to have, and I had to sell off my whole collection of exoterras, which is probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. As stupid as that sounds. But yeah, I didn't have the room to move them and put them anywhere, and just due to circumstances, I just had to move, and it was a rack that allowed me to keep all that stuff, and I knew it was always going to be temporary, but it was, if I didn't have that rack, I wouldn't have been able to keep snakes, so
exactly.
They've got their place. Yep. I mean, I was only just showing you guys my new rack above my bookshelf here. You know, all those. That's just for hatchies. I still built another rack for some of my adult Antaresia and some water pythons.
For sure.
So.
Oh, you still got your water pythons? You didn't sell them?
Here. I can't get them up.
Don't do it, eh? I don't reckon.
They're little assholes. but I love them.
It's weird. Water pythons don't seem too common anymore. You don't see a lot of people with them.
I was just about to say that.
Don't see a lot of people with them. You should see one of the ones we got at work, mate. It's monstrous. I actually can't believe how big it is. It's cool snake. It's shit. It will kill you, but it's a big snake.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I saw some of those monsters when I was up there, but yeah. No, it's I've heard of a few of them getting around that rival olives.
Yeah. So. Oh, this one does. It's ridiculous. Like I'm 6 foot or just under 6 foot, and I can hold it above my head and it's touching the floor and scooping on the floor. It's fucking huge.
Man, that's a monster. Yeah, I just love them. Hey, like it honestly took me I want to say about 18 months to track these two down. I don't ship animals. I've never imported animals apart from water pythons. They cost me bugger all to buy the actual
Probably
snakes.
Cost you more
it cost me pretty much just yeah. But I was just like, I just want these damn things. And,
tell you what, freight is getting so ridiculous this day and age.
Yeah, it's gone are the days of $60.
Yeah, and you have to go through an agent now.
And they don't even do anything. Yeah, it's crap.
No, they just book it for you.
Yeah, it's proper crap. It's probably one of the most successful business models ever. They literally, I don't know what they do.
Hey, it's cheaper. Say if you get something from Brisbane, it's cheaper for you to fly to Brisbane, probably return than it is to send one small box with like a gecko or something.
When I actually drove down to the Penrith Expo, I actually freighted a whole heap of animals with myself because I worked out the petrol that it was going to cost me down was far, far cheaper than sending the animals down to Sydney to the bunch of people that I gave animals to. So I just thought, fuck it, I'll just drive them down and carry the permits with me. So, yeah, it's crazy.
That's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's ludicrous. But yeah, that was the first and the only time that I've actually done it. So
yeah,
it's not fun.
Yeah, they're cool snakes.
It's getting worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, for $100 water pythons.
Yeah, it's funny. I've actually thought a lot about.
But you can't get rid of them.
No, don't get rid of them. They're worthless to get rid of. So, that'd be a cool one to do a setup with. I've been talking with Tyson Doc and about setups with them and actually trying to do like a more like a wetland setup where most of their aquarium is a wetland. And then having two sides as land, I reckon that'd be really, really cool. It's amazing how much they utilize water. I don't think people realize it until you either keep them or work with them or see them in the wild, like I finally have. But they're cool.
So before we get into how you found those in the wild, we have to ask, like you've currently obviously moved to the NT. What was the kind of deciding factor as to that move?
I've always been pretty eager to move around. Like when I was 18, basically as soon as I hit 18, I was out of the house and moved up to the Northern Rivers area. So I was at Lismore for a little while, and then I went to Ballina and then to the Gold Coast, and then being 18, sort of realised I couldn't really afford shit. So I moved back home for a bit, and then didn't like living at home. So then I moved out to Bondi, and then I was in Bondi for a while, and I don't know. I just moved around a lot, and I've always kind of enjoyed moving and living places. It certainly makes things hard sometimes, but I don't know. I just moved around a bit, and then I moved to Queensland to do uni. Haven't finished my degree yet. Probably should, but I'm just not really uni minded. But I've always done trips to the NT. I think I've been to the NT 8 or 9 times before deciding to move there, and I just know every time I've been to the Northern Territory, I go to either start driving home or get on a plane back home, and I've just gone, why am I leaving? Like, I just love it here so much. And I basically was in a bit of a rut where I was in Queensland, and I kind of just wasn't ticking boxes on anything, and just felt like something needed to change, and I was pretty keen on moving, and sort of decided, well, my partner got a job up in a little town called Monto, which is southwest of Rockhampton. It's a town with just on 1,000 people, and there's not a lot going there for me, and that's partially why we've broken up and moved on. But yeah, I just didn't want to move there, and I didn't want to be where I was still. So I tried Brisbane for a little bit, and then I just thought, nah, I've got Brisbane's not for me. So started applying for jobs in Darwin and Cairns with the idea of going to either one of those spots. And yeah, I just didn't really want to work in the farming industry in terms of like the barra farms, or I didn't want to go back to hospitality. So I was trying to get something with animals because I've got a lot of hospitality experience, and other than that, I'm a personal trainer, and I didn't really want to be in the fitness scene too much. But yeah, so I applied for a job at Croc Cove, and it was funny. I actually applied for it quite a while ago, and I didn't get the position. And about 2 weeks before, I'd given up on the idea of moving to Darwin. I just didn't see it as being feasible, particularly because I still had the diamonds at the time, and I wasn't really sure what I was doing with them. And it just seemed impossible to get to Darwin. Where Cairns, I knew a lot of people up in Cairns, and everything just seemed right about Cairns. So I was like, give up on Darwin. It's just not going to happen. So I started looking into Cairns, and then I secured an apprenticeship up there, and then the apprenticeship went to shit, and then it was back to square one. And I can't remember what I did. I did something on my bank account, and I don't know, a link got sent to my junk mail. And as I went into my junk mail, this is probably 2 weeks after I'd given up on the idea of on moving to Darwin, there was an email from Croc Manager, whatever that meant. And I was like, what the fuck is that? So I clicked into it, and it was basically like, oh, hey, we kept your resume on file. You got a bit of an interesting story about you. Are you still interested in working? Do you want to give me a call? And that was on, I think it had sat in my junk mail for about 8 or 9 days, and my junk automatically deletes at 10. So I was like, oh, shit.
Wow.
So I basically called them straight up, and I said, oh, hey, I've just seen your email, I'd be keen if the position's still available. What do I need to do? I'm assuming you've probably filled it, but yeah, she was Charlotte, the manager. She was pretty relaxed and basically said, oh no, we haven't filled the position. We just hadn't got around to advertising it yet. So if you're interested, do you want to do an interview right now? So then basically did an interview on the spot on the phone, and then 3 days later I got the job. So then it was basically pack my bags and get to Darwin. But before that, I had 2 weeks research work booked in that I was helping out with. So that basically limited moving to 2 weeks. And that was pretty chaotic 2 weeks to get to Darwin. But that's kind of how it all happened.
Wow. So what's the actual position that you are hired for? So
I'm titled as an animal keeper. I don't really like the title animal keeper, so I just call myself a zookeeper. But I'm basically just an animal handler. Yeah. So most of the work is done with Crocs. I think at the moment we've only got maybe 20 Crocs in the park, but we had probably around 160 before the move, and we're just about to get a whole lot more in. So
So what's it like working with the Crocs? That'd be unreal.
It's interesting. I'll be honest. I've never really thought much about Crocs. And there's probably two reptile groups I've never really thought much about, and that's turtles and crocodiles. Obviously appreciate them and so on, but they've just never really grabbed my attention much. And working with them and actually realizing each crocodile has their own individual sort of attributes and their own sort of personality. They respond to things differently. They respond to different keepers differently, and you're suddenly like, fuck, they are as intelligent as people make them out to be, and maybe more. The big Crocs are pretty interesting. I've still got to get trained up to do as much as some of the other people there, but they're pretty cool animals. Scary, but cool. Yeah.
Man, I can only imagine. Yeah, I'd love to work with Crocs one day, but I'm a Sparky, so I don't think
we had a pretty interesting day the other day. We had to move 2 Crocs. I won't say too much because I don't know how much I'm allowed to say on something like this, but we had to basically swap 2 crocodiles over, and they were both over 5 meters, and both of them were about 7. I think the lighter of one of the 2 was 720 kilos, and the other was a bit over that, 750 or something. And yeah, that took a bit of heavy machinery, and we had, because I don't know if you guys know, or any listeners, anyone that doesn't really know, Croc Cove is actually in Darwin CBD. It's on one of the main streets. So it's quite interesting. You'd basically be walking down by a bunch of bars and pubs and everything, and attached to Croc Cove is a very big bar. And yeah, we just sort of tucked away inside there, and yeah, we've got 7 very big crocodiles in there, and a lot of babies, and a nice little reptile collection. And yeah, so it was funny because the way things are sort of positioned is you can't move particular animals by hand. So it involved, having a freaking crane coming out onto the main street kind of thing and shipping this giant crocodile off with a crane into the new pen, and then picking up the other one and moving it over to the other pen. It was, crazy. Pretty funny seeing people walking down the main street and seeing a freaking huge crocodile sitting on the back of a trailer while it was waiting for the other crocodile to get moved. Yeah, it's good fun. Darwin, right?
Yeah, only in Darwin. That's that was my first trip to the NT, was Darwin. I've only gone twice to the NT, but yeah, I remember having, I don't know if it was, I think I was having dinner one night just before heading out to Fog Dam, and I was just probably just down a couple of stops down from where Croc Cove was. I didn't even realize it was right there. We did stop in there the last day or something that we were there, and I was just like, man, this is so just tucked away. Like, there's a big entrance, and it is well advertised, but at the same time, it's the amount of stuff that's in there.
Yeah, it's amazing. That entrance is almost too tucked away that it's easy to miss. You know how like a lot of the bars and everything are right up on the sidewalk, so you're basically walking straight past them. Whereas Croc Cove, it's got that big grand entrance, but it's set right back, so you miss it if you don't actually look and see. So it's funny that way.
Yeah, I definitely just to kind of touch back on another topic you raised about how you're always getting a little bit down as you were leaving the NT or whatever. Like, that's something that I've definitely felt both times that I left there, and that's something that I've been heckling my wife. I'm like, come on, we can live there. Like, why can't we live there? Like, that's like an aspiration for myself to go up there.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a different way of life, especially compared to Sydney. It's
it'd be a lot more relaxed, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and it's socially acceptable.
It's like another country.
You're completely right in saying that it is like another country.
See, I've never been there. So.
It's
on my list of places.
It's interesting. Yeah, I don't really know how to explain it quite right yet. It's saying it's kind of like another country is somewhat similar, or probably the best way to explain it at the moment. But
maybe something along those lines, and also you've stepped back in time a little bit. Like it feels like how Australia may have been like 100 years ago in a sense. Like it's
people are super friendly for the most part. I mean, you get a couple of interesting characters on the main street and down some of the sidewalks, but I mean,
especially after dark.
Well, mate, even in broad daylight, living there, you certainly see it. It's interesting. Yeah,
that's a beautiful area.
That's,
so you're getting out herping much living there?
Too much. Yeah, I got to stop. I'm just wasting so much money on petrol. Like. So I live out near Berry Springs, so not right in Berry Springs, but relatively close to it. So Litchfield National Park is actually, I think it's about 7 to 10 minute drive from where I live. So man, you get a good night and you're just like, well, fuck it, let's go. Even if you don't have a good night, you're kind of like, got nothing else to do, let's go. And the next thing you know, you're out till 2 a.m. in the morning or 3 a.m. in the morning. So. Yeah, and then if I'm not in Litchfield,
fuel tanks down past half.
Yeah, it's rough, but I just can't help it. It's so good because, like, I mean, obviously, if you're into herping or anything, living here, you just have the opportunity to see so much more. So, yeah, everything's still quite new to me. So everything I find is so exciting. Whereas being in Queensland and Sydney, it's kind of just like, water dragon, cool.
I've seen it.
Carpet python, whatever. Small white snake. No comment.
And your photography's coming leaps and bounds.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's particularly in the last, I don't know, couple of months, probably the last 3 months. I think it's, I don't know, oddly improved. I've noticed I'm more happy with some of the photos than usual. So I don't know what I'm doing differently, but it's whatever I'm doing, it's working.
Must be a diffuser.
Oh, I've had that for ages, eh?
Yeah, you got me on that.
Yeah, I got onto it a long time ago. Way before many other people knew about them. It was a good friend of mine put me onto that. But I knew 2 people that I followed on Instagram, and they both shoot. One shot bugs a lot, and she was using it. And then she talked me into it and said it was pretty good, and so on and so forth. And then I sent it to my mate, and he was actually talking to the same girl about it. And then I didn't realize that they were good friends. And yeah, he was actually his name's Colin, Tropical Cole on Instagram. Most people probably know who that is. Yeah, he actually was so convinced with it that he actually bought one for me and had it sent to my door. So I didn't realize, but yeah, it was pretty cool to receive that in the post from him and Brendan at Cygnus Tech. So yeah, I had one of the originals where it's all in pieces and you're sticking it together with elastic bands, and I kind of modified it myself with sticky tape, and it worked. But yeah, now he's got it down quite well.
I've been since we've spoke, I've got one. Can't wait to hopefully crack it this Saturday night.
Yeah?
Luke.
Sounds good
awesome.
to me.
Where are you guys going?
So we're stinging. Probably up to see Jason somewhere.
Yeah, up around me. So it's supposed to rain a bit this week, so we might try and target some frogs, I think. So
you can't go wrong with frogs. They're easy to practice 100%. With, and they don't move too much. So yeah, they're good.
Well, it's still supposed to be about 28 degrees according to Bomb. So
yeah,
it's one of the warmer nights yet, and especially after all this rain, it might be a recipe.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, that's exciting! Hopefully. You have to send me some photos.
Yeah, definitely. Because we were chatting a while ago about photography and this and that. Yeah. So I've been following your herping journey.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Can't help myself. Yeah, I'm not. It's funny going from keeping a lot and not doing too much herping to complete reverse and suddenly a lot of herping. And I thought I was an all right herper, but I'm not. I'm certainly learning a lot of stuff up here, and it's weird because obviously the climate's very different up here. Everything that I know from Sydney and Queensland is kind of irrelevant and doesn't work the same way. So, you know, I particularly noticed when I first moved up here and I was going out every night, things weren't being active until, 10 or 11 at night. And I'm going, such good conditions, why is nothing moving? And then, come that sort of hours at night where you're kind of getting over it, stuff just suddenly explodes moving around, and wait a couple more hours and then all the geckos start moving. But yeah, at the moment things are moving quite a lot, so we're just getting the build up now. So yeah, it's good. I mean, I think it was 2 nights ago actually, I was out helping my mate clean the rats, and both of us didn't realize, but we're sitting there cleaning the rats and basically looked up and there was a young Darwin carpet python hanging down from the thing straight over the rats, and oh cool, took that out and started taking photos of it.
Awesome looking Darwin too.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I got a friend up here who's got one that lives around her property, and that thing would make morph breeders go shit crazy for it, mate. That thing is an amazing looking snake. So hopefully she's going to let me know when she finds it on her property next, and I'll shoot over there and photograph it. But yeah, Troy Bromy's ones, those red line ones that he's got. It's kind of like them, but fluorescent orange and cream. No black in it, nothing. It's just insane looking snake.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And that just lives in the yard. It's crazy what's going on.
That's awesome.
Well, I definitely found that when I was up there, actually both trips that I went there as well, is that I was making the mistake of going out really early.
Yeah.
Going herping, and I did have a few people go, "Nah, mate, you're supposed to be out at 1 in the morning."
Yeah.
And I was just like, I can't stay awake that long. Like that's time for bed usually back in Sydney. You're done for the night. So, but yeah, I did find that as well. It was about 10:30, 11 o'clock. That's when I started finding a few things sitting around.
Yeah. What time of the year did you go?
So I made the mistake the first time of going to Darwin just after the dry finished. So it was like just before the wet season really cracked on. So everything was still pretty beat up. Found a couple of water pythons that were a little bit worse for wear. Didn't really find much else apart from that, to be honest. And I did get to see a couple of crocs that wasn't on like a croc tour, so that was kind of cool to see them at Fog Dam at night, which was nice. Then when I went to Alice Springs, that was only this year. This was February this year.
Was it really?
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah. That's kind of scary. That feels like years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. But no, that was pretty cool. At least I got a few species then. But I'd like to go back there in I don't know, maybe late spring or something like that.
Yeah. I don't want to burst your bubble, but I have to tell you. When I went to Alice Springs.
Go on, then. Everybody else knows. Just
when I went to Alice Springs the first time, we were walking through. I don't actually remember where it was, because if it was, I would tell you where it was. Like I would happily tell you where it was, but I genuinely can't remember. We were walking through this woodland, and it was one of the few spots where it was more like a denser woodland for Alice Springs standards. And I remember being so convinced I'd seen a mulga monitor that I'd climbed up this tree, and I was, really trying to find it, and I couldn't. But I was so convinced that I had. And my mate that I was with, he was like, all right, well, if you think you've seen one, we might find one again, because there's enough trees here to see a few of them. And, started peeling bark and making sure that we weren't obviously peeling it right off, looking under it and not trying to damage too much. But, we ended up finding about 15 in an hour. So it was crazy how many we ended up finding. It got to the point that I was kind of like, okay, cool. Next thing. See ya.
And Luke's out.
I think it was just one of those freak, just chance things, really. Like, it was every second tree we were finding them. It was insane. But, like, on the same trip, we didn't find a lot of other stuff either. But, that was the big success, was heaps of them.
That would have just made my trip. I would have given away the Western Blueies, the Stimmies, the Amio, whatever.
Yeah, so we didn't see any of them. Yeah.
I definitely saw, there was a lot of carnage on that trip. I didn't get too much carnage when I went to Darwin, but that trip was like, I remember finding like a 5-foot Woma python that was just like perfect, just splattered. The blackest black-headed monitor I've ever seen. Heads just smashed in, like 30 to 40 sandies, just like gone. It's just stuff
crazy,
like that. You're just like,
that the sandies dead on the road is mind blowing. It's amazing those things still persist.
That's the thing that gets me. It's like seeing those in like a 7-day span. Like, how the hell do they still have numbers?
Yeah, and what's crazy too is they get picked off every day by your birds of prey and other things picking them off. So almost every day you've got a new slate of road, essentially. And as I said, I did 4 weeks research out helping on that Parenti project. AHS did a vlog on it, or whatever they did. I was basically out there for 4 weeks, and it's crazy because we obviously, you see a lot when you're out on the road, and I think on one stretch of road we counted about 40 some dead sandies, and that was only going one way, and it was only a couple hundred k's. Wow, it's just crazy to think that, and that was one day. So
it's insane.
It's amazing. And then the number of dead Thorny Devils we found as well. Thankfully I got one live one. Still one of probably the best thing I've ever found so far. But it's just insane how much shit's dead.
Such an iconic Aussie reptile, that Thorny Devil. Like,
I'll be honest, I cried when I found it. They're such a weird. I've never seen one in person. I got so excited over it, I started crying because it was just, we'd seen so much dead shit on the road, and it was depressing as fuck. Like, nice central blueies, so many sandies, and I love sandies. As you said, Tristis, beautiful, beautiful Tristis, just smashed, and netted dragons and all sorts of things. And then we actually thought this Thorny Devil was dead, and we walked over to it, kind of just like, oh, another one. And then suddenly it sort of popped its head up and just quickly ran off, or tried to run off. They don't move too quick. But yeah, I got so excited and I picked it up and just looking at it, they're just so weird. It's like they shouldn't even be real. But yeah, I got pretty excited by that. I started crying.
I don't blame you. Like, I didn't. I got, I think 5 or 6 Thorny Devils dead, and one was like still twitching.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like still haven't seen a live one, so I've got that urge to go back even just to nail them and the Gillen's monitors, of course. But there's something just so. They were actually the first that I'd seen in the flesh, albeit dead. But I just didn't realize how small they were.
Yeah, they're weird, eh?
Well, they're so tiny.
Yeah, they fit in the palm of your hand. They're cute little things. But yeah, there's a lot of detail in them.
At the expo.
Yeah, that's right. Rex was there, wasn't he?
That was the first time I saw him. Yeah, that was the first time I've ever seen one in the flesh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they were the only live ones that I saw is when, because Rex was actually closed down because of COVID and everything when I went there. Like it was awesome for me because everything was just like a ghost town. Like everything was just empty. There was nobody on the roads and everything, which is great for road cruising because you just be going 20 k's an hour in the middle of the day and doing whatever. But yeah, Rex was just like, I just sent him a message. He's like, yeah, no worries, come into the park. And I was just like checking out all the weird Oedura, like the Jamata or whatever and stuff that he's got there. He didn't care. He was just feeding vents and I'm just standing around looking at everything there.
Yeah, he's he's added a bit rough. From what I understand, obviously Territory copped it pretty hard in terms of tourism and everything through COVID. So he was lucky. I think one thing that held him up real well was having the snake contract for the area. I don't know if that's true, but that's kind of my assumption. But yeah, zoos didn't really do too well with COVID and funding and so on.
Bit of a shame, really. But
I mean, we went to check out the desert park when we were there too, and I think we were like, between my wife and I, there was only maybe another 2 couples in there the whole day that we were there. Yeah. Like it was,
it's sad. But it's the time we live in.
It is.
Who knows?
Yeah, well, hopefully we're on the up now. I know my wife's a travel agent, so she's getting absolutely smashed.
Oh, true.
Moment, which is
that's cool.
Yeah, so hopefully people will get a bit more on the move and a bit more mobile to come and visit these places and put some money back into the economy.
Yeah. I think everyone's got an itch now everyone's just fucking desperate to get out, really. So, working at Crocco is kind of cool because we have most of our market is tourists. So we have heaps of people from Adelaide and Perth at the moment. So many people from Perth and Adelaide. Obviously, they're the 2 main states that can travel, but you get the odd one from Brisbane or Victorians that have been on the road for the last 12 months kind of thing. And yeah.
What a life.
Oh, no, yeah. I had a family today, actually. Yeah, a couple, obviously, with 4 kids, and they'd been on the road for the last year and a half. They basically just left off before COVID really kicked off, and they just extended their holiday and have stayed on the road, which is crazy. And, I don't know how people do that with 4 kids, but, yeah. That's fucking impressive. I can't do that myself.
Yeah.
By myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine being in a van with my wife for that amount of time.
Yeah, it's pretty hectic. But
but geez,
it's interesting.
She's outside listening to you going, oh, well.
Yeah, she's only on the other wall. She's like, yeah, when are you going to Cape York? You can bugger off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So just kind of talking about the park, can you give us like a little bit of a rundown of what your daily routine kind of looks like there?
It's pretty different. We've got 2 sort of main things, which is obviously, as you know, the crocodiles are the major section, and then we've got our little reptile house, which is I think there's about 55 enclosures in there. So we got around 46 species. We've got a couple of doubles at the moment, which is a bit hard. Getting things in is hard, and obviously being a zoo, we've been pretty affected by COVID, so budgets are really tight at the moment, and it's, what can you do being a zoo? You just got to work in with what you can. So we've had to move a couple of animals around and so on. But yeah, if you're in with the reptiles, I've been in with the reptiles the last 2 days. But basically, yeah, we just going through all the daily cleans and everything, and depending on particular days is when you feed certain things and so on and so forth, or your standard sort of husbandry routine. But yeah, we basically go in and make sure the zoo's all nice, prepped and ready to have people walking through it. If you're in the reptile house, you'll basically be on Meet the Reptiles, which is obviously you take a couple of reptiles out and give people about 30 minutes to come in and hold a snake and a lizard and have a few photos with it and answer as many questions as you can, or try to get people to hold them if they're scared of it. We do something interesting, which is a snake feeding show. So we actually take a snake out into the theatre. So we have like a little designated theatre, and we set that up and we pull a snake out and show people how we feed snakes in front of people. I don't know how many zoos really do that.
I don't know of any others.
Yeah, I won't say too much on my thoughts on that, but I think we could probably do a little bit more in terms of talking about reptiles as a whole. I think when you just talk about feeding and pull a snake out and feed it in front of people, it doesn't gel with everyone. And some people get a bit concerned about that, whereas I'm pretty big on education and I want people to like reptiles, whereas, some people don't particularly like seeing a mouse get eaten straight up. So, yeah, that's kind of what we do in the reptile house. So we'll do that, one snake feeding show a day. I kind of go off on my own tangent and take out a couple of lizards with me and try to talk about a bit more. But then if you're on the Crocs, you're kind of basically just doing the cage of death, which is an attraction that we have, which is cage diving with crocodiles. So we've got a giant acrylic or perspex cylinder that we drop into one of 4 enclosures that we have, and you have a big croc swim up, and we basically keep the croc swimming around the cage and then, make it eat in front of you, which is, I guess it's pretty cool. It's certainly an interesting experience. I mean, even working with crocodiles, seeing them from the enclosure, you're kind of like, oh, yeah, they're pretty big. It's not until you actually, for example, the other day when I had to move one and literally pull it with a rope, it's kind of like, fuck, these are big animals, man. You don't realise how big they are until you're actually on top of them. And I guess a cage being about an inch thick where you can literally nearly touch them, it's a pretty interesting thing to have a 5.5 metre crocodile swimming around. Most of our work is doing that. On particular days we do feed out, so we're in affiliation with a croc farm as well. So we have a whole lot of hatchlings there, so we have to feed them obviously, so we do that 3 times a week, and those hatchlings are all used for either a photo booth that is external to us, so it's just an external company, and then we use them to teach people about croc farming and how it protects the species, I suppose, and how it does benefit them. And then my personal favorite part is actually the 222,000 litre aquarium that we have with a whole bunch of freshwater fish and pig nose turtles in it. Awesome. I like that the most, to be honest. So if you get me on the fish show, I'll talk as long as I possibly can doing that. So basically, if you're working with the crocs, they kind of divide up doing either a croc show. So one person will do the croc show, other people will be in the pens feeding and guarding, and then someone will do a fish show. So you've got 2 fish shows a day, 2 croc shows a day, 1 snake feed show. So it's pretty vocal, I suppose. I'm always down for being in front of people. I love all that sort of stuff and talking. So you throw me on everything, I'm happy. But the fish show is my favorite. I love it.
That is a really impressive aquarium too. I remember that was actually, out of everything there, I think that was the thing that kind of hit me in the face the hardest, was actually the aquarium.
Yes, it's cool. I mean, I don't know, fish always have a special place in my heart, I guess, starting with fish and breeding a lot of different plecos and bristlenose and things like that. I've always had a bit of an interest in things that are involved in water. But it's just so cool being able to have barramundi that are, the size of the barras in there. They're all ex-farm stock. They're about 25-year-old fish. But they come up and they'll smash food out of your hands. You got the whip rays that are, these giant stingrays that come up and they love a good scratch on the head and give them a fish there. They love it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Even just seeing like the size of the archerfish and stuff in there as
well.
Man. Like you never see them that big in a fish.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting actually on the note of archerfish? I didn't even realise how big archerfish got until I went to Kakadu. And I've got two particular places that I almost can't get away from when I go to Kakadu. If I go to Kakadu now, it's going there. But the archerfish there are enormous. Like, you have no idea how big archerfish can actually get until you see these things. And it's crazy, is like they're normal swimming holes, and there's sometimes hundreds of people in these swimming holes. And these archerfish will be cruising between people's legs, and they're the size of freaking dinner plates. Like, it's amazing. But then the other cool thing about that spot is having like Saratogas come up to you and everything, like wild Saratogas that are a meter long, literally come up and check you out as you're snorkeling through, and you're kind of just like, fuck, this is sick. It's awesome. So good.
That's good, man.
So it makes herping.
That's one thing I want to start doing when I go places, is like snorkeling in the freshwater streams, because I never used to do it. So.
It's you don't realize how freaking cool it is. Josh Hatton actually got me onto that. I went turtle diving once, and I used to do a lot of snorkeling and surfing when I was a young fella. Obviously, living in Sydney, it's a bit more accessible, but if the surf was never up, I was always out snorkeling, and I kind of got away from that, unfortunately, as I sort of went into my teens and everything. But basically, as I've moved up here, I bought myself a mask, and I've just made a real big point of getting out as much as I can, and it works really well with herping, because obviously a lot of herping is done at night, and then in Darwin, or the Northern Territory, I should say, most of the middle of the day is no good for herping. So you sit by a waterfall, you chill out, go for a snorkel, have a snooze by a waterfall. It's pretty good. Works hand in hand.
Sounds like a good
and then, go herping all right.
Yeah.
I was only saying to my wife before I came on, I'm like, man, I'm a little bit hesitant to do this show because I'm so jealous of your lifestyle at the moment, because the amount that you've been getting out, I'm like, this is exactly what I wanted to live. And I've been heckling her about living up in the NT. I'm like, Luke's doing it. Luke's doing it.
It's funny. I read a few books recently about just trying to, I think COVID really changed everyone's sort of outlook on life. Somewhere it's affected someone, and I certainly noticed a few things about my life that I was kind of just like, oh man, I don't know if this is, the end of the world kind of shit. Not that it is, but if it is, am I happy? And I was kind of like, fuck, I'm not happy. I've got a lot of shit that I want to do, and I really need to make a point of doing it. So, when the opportunity came up, it was a yes, and no questions asked. If I had to get rid of shit, that's what it came to. So, I literally packed up my whole fucking life, which you don't realize how much you accumulate until you actually have to get rid of it. But it's
or even move.
Just household stuff as well, and you're suddenly realizing that I lived in Queensland for 4.5 years in the one spot, and in 4.5 years you can pick up a lot of shit, a lot of friends, and then just suddenly just literally at the drop of a hat say, I'm moving in 2 weeks kind of thing. It's pretty hectic.
Yeah. The good thing is though, you're young, so
I sort of figured that's why now is the time to do it. So it certainly didn't. It certainly came at a cost, I should say. It's unfortunate. There's a few things that have had to be sacrificed as a result. Relationship of nearly 4 years and so on and so forth. But I think I just had to do it. So otherwise I wouldn't have been happy and kicking myself later. So
every now and then you got to look after number one.
That's
mate.
it. Yeah.
That's it.
Yep. But so exactly as I said, it comes at costs, and I'm certainly not making a lot of money up here. So I'm living good, but it's rough. It's rough going. So but I mean, it's worth it. I love it. That's good.
But sometimes it's a lifestyle thing too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I realized.
And if that's going to make you happier long term, then you've done the right thing.
Yeah. It was.
And money doesn't buy happiness.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell no.
yeah. It certainly makes things easier. But you're very right. As I said, I
can buy things that make you happy.
Yeah, but then those things are materialistic too, and
exactly.
Yeah, you sort of kind of wonder how much do you actually need versus not need, and so on. And yeah, as I said, I was working 2 jobs at one point, and averaging about 70 to 80 hours a week. I was leaving by. Well, I was at work by 6 a.m. kind of thing, and I was getting home by 8:30, 9 p.m. at night, and that was 7 days a week kind of thing. And yeah, I was obviously making good money, but I fucking didn't do anything else. So what good is that?
Time and you're exhausted.
Yeah.
What's the point of working for all that money if you can't do anything?
Yeah.
Well, now that we've started talking about, obviously making that move and that lifestyle change, do you want to kind of enlighten us about some of the species that you've been able to target now while you've been herping up there? Because you've been killing it with some cool animals.
Gillen's a one, Luke.
Yeah.
Talk about that again. A little bit further south.
Don't make me walk off the show.
Gillen's are, a little bit further south than
I just thought I'd throw it in anyway.
Yeah. You wait. I'll be flying up to Darwin and making Luke drive me south to that spot.
Yeah,
you bloody remember where this spot is.
Easier for both of us to fly to Alice.
Yeah. We can go down past the Tanami, surely.
Yeah, for sure. Why not?
Can I get some wormers?
We'll stop in at Barkley.
Matt said it's good out there.
You get some Barkley adders.
Minute 10,000k trip.
Yeah.
Look, I've got 2. I've ticked off one of the targets for this year. I've got 2 others, which is obviously an Owen Pelly Python. And then I really want to get Glebo out at Kakadu. They're there. They're hard to find. I'm still dialing in the monitor thing and trying to work that out. But they're my main 2 targets. So I've still got 2 to go. Recently I had Colin come up. We did a 5-day stint that we basically aimed to get 50 species in 5 days, and we still haven't got a final count. We're still IDing a couple of little dragons and skinks, but I think it's at about 57 species in 5 days. So that's solid effort. We went pretty hard. Unfortunately, our last 2 nights just went to shit. Making an executive decision to basically give up on the Owen Pellies because we weren't quite where we wanted in our numbers. So we kind of left Kakadu and tried to go somewhere else, and that wasn't a good call. But, you can't really predict certain things. All the conditions are right, but the animals just weren't moving. But as a result of that, we did end up getting Glebo Palmer, which was obviously probably my highlight.
And you got an undescribed species of Amilos too.
Yeah, it's known to science. It's just not being described. But
not formally described.
Yeah, it was funny because I'd done a lot of research. Obviously, being into Stropurus quite a lot, I wanted to find Stropurus horneri, and I'd done a bit of reading through some papers and Google Earth mapping and so on, trying to work out particular spots. And I tried not to ask people who had found them because I kind of wanted to do it myself. So we kind of worked out where we thought might be good based on the papers and what was in association with the papers and nearby places that we didn't have to walk as far, as lazy as that sounds. Basically, we're looking through some spinifex, and quite literally the first clump of spinifex I come up to, there was this little gecko face down, as any spinifex specialist gecko sort of sits, and I stopped and I was like, fuck yeah, I've got one. And then I remember looking at it and I was like, that's not a Stropurus. I know it's not, but I don't know what the fuck it is. And I sort of got a bit confused and stood there and probably looked at it a little bit too much. And it started moving off into the spinifex. And I was like, fuck, Colin, quick, get over here. And I tried to stop it from moving into the spinifex, and I ended up falling into the spinifex. And if anyone knows, spinifex is not something you want to fall into. Freaking hurts. And it was funny because where my hands were, the gecko was in between my hands, but I literally couldn't move my hands because they were getting pronged from every freaking side, and this gecko just disappeared in front of my eyes. And I was like, God damn, I've literally just lost this gecko. Like, that's just appalling from my part. Anyway, Colin didn't get to see it. I didn't know what it was. I just knew it wasn't a Horneri or a Stropurus. So, yeah, it took us about another 35 minutes to end up finding another one. And, yeah, we're flicking through field guides and we couldn't work it out. And in Kakadu, you don't have a lot of reception. So I'm with Optus, so I've got no reception until I get back to Darwin. So, it was pretty shit trying to work out what that was. And we spent a lot of time photographing them because a lot of the ones we found actually had no tails. So obviously from a photography point of view, you kind of want to get something with a tail that's a bit nicer, but we were still taking ID photos and so on, trying to really nut it out. And I think we worked it out about 4 days later that we found some little, paper that we found basically saying that they're an undescribed species, and I can't remember which ones are the Obscura. They're kind of similar to Obscura, but smaller and less colourful than the Obscura, which are found over in the Kimberleys. And that they're basically yet to be described. So we've gone with that. And then Colin posted a photo of it, and there's an interesting comment under that, basically from a guy who did a bit of fauna surveys out around that area, and he basically said we used to call them a Malaysia Mimi or Mai, or I don't know, but it was off a Aboriginal derivative for something small. I can't really remember, but supposedly he said they should be described very soon as a new species. So yeah, kind of cool. It certainly had us a bit tripped up for a little bit there. So as a result, I got quite a few photos of it. Unfortunately, I cooked my macro lens somehow, and it literally stopped working mid-photo and still not working. So down a macro lens at the moment, which is a bit of a bummer. But so got it quoted.
Yeah, so he said they nicknamed them the Ojura Mimi after the Kunwin. I can't pronounce that word. I don't want to butcher it either. For small, I think it's spirit that live in the rocks and cracks.
Yeah. And it's weird finding them because, I mean, we found them, I think we found them each night that we went out, but they were always in association, only on spinifex, on rocks. And never down the bottom on flat plains or anything. They were always on rock. So, if you jumped off the rock faces and big cliffs and everything, they weren't there. But if you were on them, they were there. So, interesting little animals. They're cute. Got a good photo of one next to Colin's finger, and it shows how small they really are. They're about the size of, or maybe a little bit longer than a jeweled gecko. Give you a bit of an idea.
Tiny.
Yeah, real small.
Yeah, but they were cool.
Wow.
They were probably another highlight. I was really happy with a lot of the photos that I took of them. And then obviously having us so puzzled for a while was pretty, I don't know, I like that sort of shit.
Yeah.
But
what field guide are you taking out there when you head
I actually use A-Rod a lot. I don't think A-Rod is up to date a lot at the moment. I've heard a rumor that he's working on a lizard app. I don't know how true it is or not, but he brought out Snakes of Australia, which is obviously a very good app. But I've heard he might be doing a lizard app. So I think that's where a lot of his attention is going. But we use it because it is pretty, usually pretty easy to get to what you're trying to find. Otherwise, Colin had...
it's pretty user-friendly.
Yeah, Colin had I don't know who it's by, the most recent comprehensive field guide. I think it's the 5th edition. It's got a dragon on the front of it.
Swan.
Yeah, Swan, that one. I don't have the book yet.
This one here.
I can't see that far, mate. My eyes are cooked. I should have glasses on, but it's amazing I see
He's only got 48 copies of it.
It's amazing I see anything in the field, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got some.
That's the one. Yeah. So Colin had a copy of that, which was pretty handy. But it's a bit impractical carrying a book of that size and weight around with you, especially when you're climbing up rocks and so on.
At least you're not carrying the cogger though.
Oh no way. No. Yeah, I bought that fully expecting to leave that in my car, and it hasn't moved off my shelf. Yeah. Handy book, but
yeah, it's a good book, but it's just a little bit too big to take out in the field.
What else?
How'd you end up finding the Glebo? I know we kind of glazed across the top of that, but I want to hear a little bit more about that.
So the Glebo were found when we made the executive decision to leave Kakadu, and we headed out to Litchfield, and obviously I'm pretty close to Litchfield, so it wasn't too bad. But I've had a lot of success leading up to that trip in Litchfield. I'd found 5 or 6 snakes easily every night that I've been out, numerous geckos, so on, and we went there having 2 nights there, and we found 2 snakes, and they were the same species, slaty grey snakes, so not great. And so I told Colin all about how much success I was having. I was sending him photos all leading up to the trip, and so he was coming up with it pretty excited, and it went to shit, unfortunately. As I said, you can't really predict those things, but we went out and again we just kept hitting it hard and trying as much as we could, park up and go out for walks off various tracks and everything, and just didn't have too much luck. But we ended up deciding that we were going to check out a particular area that's known for glebos. We went there and we ended up cleaning up with geckos. We got I don't even know, maybe 40 or 50 marmorator at this particular spot. So I mean, from having not too much to photograph, it was kind of good to finally pull the cameras out and start photographing something. We got several species of gyra. I think there was 3 species of gyra that we got there, and then we ended up finding a little, I think it's pronounced Euparolia, which is a little toad thing, little frog. And some pretty cool spiders, and I don't know, some other little geckos and so on. And I think we were out until, I want to say it was about 3:30 a.m. and I'd had enough by that point. I was kind of like, we've done a lot today and we haven't found too much. And I don't know if you guys have ever tried to photograph gyra. They're a lot of effort to photograph, and usually your results come up pretty shit. So I was well and truly over it.
Buggers.
So I think Colin picked up that I was getting the shits with it, and I went to bed and rolled my swag out, and I was asleep, and basically woke up to Colin's face in the swag saying, "Get the fuck up. I've got 2 Glebo Palmer," and I looked at my watch and it was 6:30. I was like, 6:30, as if you've got Glebo Palmer at 6:30 in the morning. So anyway, I got up and we walked 50 meters from where my swag was, and he stopped and he pulled his camera out and was taking photos of water or whatever. I don't know. I genuinely didn't see the monitor. And I just sort of stopped and I was like, whatever, take photos of the butterflies or whatever you're taking photos of. I was still half asleep at this point, and he goes, "Do you see it?" I was like, "What?" He's like, "The Glebo, it's there." And I was like, "No, I can't see that far, eh?" So anyway, I walked up to him and I looked through his camera because he's got a 100 to 400 mil. And then, sure enough, there's a Glebo sitting on a rock about, 20 meters in front of us. And we're like, okay, cool, there's a Glebo. So now we've got to photograph it. So kind of funny because supposedly they've got a flee distance of 70 meters or something. So they're supposed to be one of the hardest monitors to approach. So we were fully expecting to basically get to where we were, get some very shitty photos, and that would be it. I didn't particularly care. I would have been happy just seeing it. So what ended up happening was I took my camera lens off and we basically walked hand in hand, swapping the camera lens over on each other's cameras, taking photos, and then we'd take 5 or 6 steps, swap the lens, take some more photos, so we could get closer and closer every time, and the photos would gradually get better and better, but we'd still always have photos of it. Fast forward, I don't know, half an hour, we took our time just approaching it and sort of letting it know that we weren't a threat to it, and then we were probably 2 meters from it, and it basically sat there not overly phased about us. So that was pretty damn cool. Getting that close to a Glebo that was happy to just sit in the rock exfoliation. And it was weird looking through the camera lens because it was looking at you the whole time, didn't take its eye off us. But yeah, it was super cool being able to get that close to a wild Glebo and it just ignore us. So yeah, I was pretty stoked with that. Obviously when we stood up, because we were crouching, obviously when we got that close to get the photos of it sort of backed off into the hide that it was hiding in and the rock exfoliation. But it always sat there and watched us, and it eventually came back out. And yeah, it was pretty unfazed by us for the most part. Obviously, if we got within that 2 meter distance, it backed right off. But yeah, it was cool. It was a nice experience having a monitor of that kind of caliber. I don't know, it's a pretty big target for a lot of people.
Yeah.
To not have to actually capture it and restrain it for photos. It was pretty satisfying.
Completely in situ.
Yeah. So everything we've got, the photos of it, which I haven't posted yet, is all in situ. Yeah, it literally didn't move until we were in front of it. So pretty happy with that. The photos probably aren't the best in terms of like photography standards and all that wide angle posing stuff that a lot of people do, or I'm particularly trying to do at the moment. But I'm stoked that I've got photos of it, to be honest. So yeah.
You're doing better than most. That's a cool animal to be able to see, and let alone that interaction. To be able to spend that time with it.
Yeah.
And let it gain your trust.
Yeah, for sure. And thankfully, that spot is, I don't know, an hour drive, if that, from my house. So pretty convenient. Hopefully, I'll get some more photos. But don't hold that to
Luke's me. Booking tickets now.
I know a travel agent.
Yeah, it's amazing though. Even it's kind of sad, really. Basically, not even posting photos of it, but just saying that I've got Glebo Palmer or found Glebo Palmer. How many people will message you for spots, and basically, particular people, I'm kind of like, no, I'm not giving you spots. I know who you associate with. No way. Yeah, it's kind of sad seeing that's what most people's interest is trying to get them on the books and so on. I mean, I understand it. I fully understand it. I would keep Glebos in a heartbeat if I could get them. But yeah, sometimes it's kind of just nice to leave them where they are and appreciate it.
That's it. We don't have to keep absolutely everything in captivity. Yeah. As much as I'd love a pair of them myself, it's all in due course and through the right methods.
Yeah. So
but that's one thing. Like since keeping heaps of stuff, like cutting back, getting rid of everything, and starting to get into herping a bit more, I get more enjoyment of trying to find them and photograph them than I do keeping them.
You got to start doing it first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like, it's
So that's actually kind of the replacement for me in terms of keeping. Obviously, I went on a bit of a bandwagon with keeping, where I really wanted to experience keeping everything, which was every small brown skink you could possibly keep, every Strophuris you could keep. I literally wanted everything. But you realise after you've done a lot of that most things are mostly the same, and they're no different to keep. It's kind of just another number. And yeah, I started getting into photography again. I used to do it when I was a kid and got out of it. I sold my camera and bought leatherback bearded dragons of all things. But back in the day when leatherbacks were $800 or $900 a lizard. I got back into it because I realized my phone just wasn't cutting it, and I was doing a lot of trips. Or when I would travel, I'd try to get photos, and the phone just wasn't living up to what I wanted to get. So started to get a camera and give it another crack, and it's particularly in the last maybe year and a half, it's escalated quite a lot, and it's gotten to the point that I enjoy that and finding the animals more and whatnot in the wild than actually keeping them. And yeah, it's just happy to keep. If I do keep anything now, it's as long as it's easy to be left alone for a little while and so on. It's good just to get out in the bush. Wanted to do that for so long, and used to love doing it as a kid, going canyoning and everything. And yeah, it's kind of nice just to take a camera and take photos of shit now and travel more.
And that landscape up there, like you just can't beat it through like Kakadu and Litchfield and
Amazing.
stuff. It's just so beautiful.
You almost don't know how to describe it. It's super, super cool. Ancient.
It's just, very royal, very ancient, very untouched.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I definitely need to get up there.
Oh, it's so worth it.
Let me know when, because I'm coming again.
Oh, whenever you want to, you let us know, and we'll do something like me and Colin did, and just go camping. And it's so cool. So many places are so accessible. Like you don't really realize it. Obviously, a lot of places are difficult to get to, but I mean, I got a Hilux, so most places are pretty easy to get to, and you just got to do your research. And once you know, you can plan most things around, seeing particular places. I'd done a lot of herping quite early on with my head down, just trying to find things. And I sort of realized I'd done a lot of traveling in Australia, but really hadn't seen a lot of landscapes. And then, a couple of years ago now, I did a big trip across from Cairns up to Darwin and sort of made a point of stopping in and seeing places. So even if we didn't see the reptiles, you're still seeing sort of particular things. And it's probably the better way to go about doing it, I suppose. I know some people are pretty diehard herpers, but I kind of like to see shit and stop and appreciate landscapes and a few other things as well. So
I'm the same.
Oh, you definitely as a landscape photographer as well. Originally, I'm still trying to nut out landscape photography. I'm fucking useless at it, but I'm trying. Don't post any of it because it's terrible.
Oh, you posted a few that were pretty good.
Yeah, when I went to Carnarvon Gorge in Queensland, I actually did okay, and I was like, oh yeah, I've got this worked out, and not again. It just hasn't happened for me. I don't know what it is. If maybe rainforests just look nice in landscapes, but I haven't quite got the same finger on it yet.
Practice. That's all it is, really.
Yeah, definitely.
So speaking about photography, this is an awesome little segue. Do you have any kind of tips as far as your photography goes, or do you have any sort of like favorite camera settings for daytime and versus nighttime and stuff?
Yeah, it's funny.
So I'm hopeless. Like I'm a complete novice with it.
Yeah, it's funny. I've actually had a lot of people ask me about photography recently, and I think I'm a complete noob at photography. Like I have no idea what I'm doing really. It just, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I just change settings and it either works and it doesn't work. I kind of play it as a guessing game for the most part.
You're guessing pretty good.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, recently it's been working out all right. I've had particularly a couple of young people asking me, and they sort of ask me for the best setups, and they do some research and come back with if you're with Canon, I shoot with Canon. They come back with all these L lenses, and L lenses are very expensive lenses. And they come back with all this stuff, and one particular individual kid, he's 14 or 15 or something, and he's sent me a setup that was, I think I worked out, it was about $3,500. I was like, I can't even afford that shit. I don't think you don't have a job yet. Like, I think the best thing you can possibly do is just get a camera, like just a basic SLR or something. I mean, you don't have to shoot with an SLR, but I do. Mirrorless setups are pretty appealing now. And as the technology improves, I'm wondering if I should make the change over to a mirrorless setup. But, all you got to do is just buy a basic one. And, for the most part, you don't even know if you're going to like photography. Some people buy, a big setup and realize they don't have an eye for it, or realize there's a lot of fucking around involved with it, and it's an expensive hobby. I mean, it's not cheaper than keeping reptiles. I kind of got out of keeping reptiles because it was costing me a lot of money and time, but photography is no different. It costs money and time, particularly in petrol as well, driving places that I want to get to. But, buy a camera, buy it with as many lenses as it will come with, because you need every lens you can get. I made the mistake of buying my kit individually, so I bought a Canon 80D, so it's a crop sensor camera. I bought it as the body only, and I bought a lens that I thought would be okay for it. Very quickly realized I should have bought a kit lens, but it was too late by that point. And then thankfully, Colin's been amazing to me. I can't speak highly enough of him, to be honest. He sent me a lot of stuff for free. He sent me my macro lens. He sent me a flash. He's sent me the diffuser. He sent me several diffusers, all just out of being a nice dude, really. And without him, my photography definitely wouldn't be where it is at the moment. But yeah, he sent me basically half my kit, just to try things, and ended up saying I could keep it. And yeah, all you got to do is, I suppose, just get a camera and start shooting. I had a lot of people sort of ask me about flash setups and all sorts of things, and you can add all the technology you want, but if you don't know how to use it, it's just going to be more daunting trying to use everything together. You may as well just buy the camera and stick it on auto, take a few photos and see what the settings are like, and then flick it over to manual and change the settings and see what happens. So that's kind of how I did it. I just shot all manual. I looked at Flickr and Instagram and talked to people on Instagram about some of the settings that they use, and kind of nutted that out myself. And yeah, I guess it's just a process of trial and error. I mean, you can look through my Instagram and you can see where my photography started. It's shit. And now it's okay. But yeah, you can certainly see particular transitions in the photography where it's gone from where it was to I suddenly learned how to use it, or I added a flash to, versus I learned how to use a flash, and the difference that makes, and then adding particular diffusers. So I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, I shoot with Canon. My advice is buy a camera as cheap as you possibly can and start learning to shoot with it. And if you like it, upgrade. Most of the time, even a base level SLR will have more technology in it than you're capable of learning. So you may as well just buy a basic one. So I don't know.
And you can get a lot of good secondhand stuff.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So one particular lens that has been working quite well for me lately, I picked up for $100 off Marketplace, and yeah, that was just from a wedding photographer who, completely upgraded their setup, and they had no use for it anymore. And that was I think it's about a $700 lens to buy, and they just wanted to get rid of it. So that was a good score. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, no, I've definitely got to practice it a little bit more. I'm a bit lazy when it comes to pulling out the camera while I go herping.
Yeah.
I just kind of stand there and look at the animal.
Oh, it's not for everyone. I've certainly noticed. I've had a few people tell me that I should start selling my photos, and I'm not really into that, because I don't want to start seeing the photography as a business thing. I'm very happy to just keep it as a hobby. And I think the big problem for me and my particular personality types, like if I start doing that, I'm going to start seeing animals as numbers. I'm going to start seeing them as a dollar value. And when they don't cooperate, that's money lost, and it's going to take away the appeal of just finding the animals and enjoying them. So for me, I don't want to say I'm lazy with photography, but I'm quick to pull the pin on particular animals. If they don't want to cooperate with me, I'll very happily pull the camera away and kind of just go, it's just not going to happen today. I'll find another one. If it's something that's real special, or my first particular animal, I'll try a bit harder, and I'll maybe try work with it a bit longer. But I'm very happy to just let the animals do their own thing, and I want to enjoy the animals. I think a lot of people don't realize that a lot of very good photographers and particular people who get some fucking cracking shots, a lot of it is posing and working with animals. And you see some great photos of venomous snakes up close and everything, and people don't realize how freaking close you get. And you're putting yourself on the firing line. Like I've found a particular snake up here that I'm very stoked about, which I won't say what it is, and it is a venomous snake, and it very nearly, it headbutted my arm. It shot over my diffuser and hit my arm, and then actually hit my shoulder in the same time. Thankfully, I didn't get bitten, but a lot of people probably don't like the sound of that. So, you got to realize that with photography, there is an element of posing the animals to get the artistic shots that people try to get. And to get artistic shots usually means interfering with the animal, and interfering with the animal can put yourself at risk if it's a venomous snake, for example. So it's not, I don't know, herping and photography is not as glamorous as a lot of people make it out to be, or as it looks. There's a lot of work that goes into getting a single photo. And Jason, as a photographer yourself, you know how many photos you take to get one good photo. You know, if you get 2 good photos in a single session, you're fucking stoked. So
sometimes the whole session you don't even keep one.
Yeah, I do have a video of this particular snake, which I will post at some point. I'm just not posting it yet, and it nearly gets me in the photography thing. I've just got to nut out what I want to say about it, because I do want to emphasize that photography is not all glamorous, and it is not for everyone, because I've just found recently so many people are asking me about photography, and I don't think I'm a good photographer by any means. I've got 2 years under my belt kind of thing. I'm really learning everything still. So it's a weird thing having a lot of people start to ask me about it. But I want to make sure that people don't just get into it thinking it's easy and, you know, hassle-free, and, you know, you're not at risk at any point, because, you know, you've seen the Cygnus tech diffusers. They're a giant shield on the front of the camera, and that snake he went straight over it. So, yeah.
Yeah, they're quite big.
Yeah.
But they're great.
Yeah. Most of the time it's good, but for that snake, it wasn't good.
It was good for, was it the olive or the water python?
The water python, I was about to say.
Shit snake, that one. I'm surprised it didn't knock it off the bloody off the camera. Fuck, you hit it with some force.
Yeah, that's a big python.
Yeah. That's a good video, that, eh?
That's a thick python. Yeah, I love that. I've watched that so many times.
That's probably my favourite video.
Just your reaction to it the whole way through was awesome. All right, fuck, all right.
Yeah.
Just smashing the diffuser one after another. That was awesome.
Yeah, the unicorn. The unicorn has been found. Yeah. It's kind of sad.
Now you just got to get the cloud eye.
Yeah, it's kind of sad finding a unicorn. I don't know, even though it's only a water python, and, you know, I definitely should have found one before I did. It's kind of sad when you finally tick it off, because it's particularly a water python. It's such a stupid species to have as a unicorn. But I've ticked it off now, and now it's kind of like, it was kind of better when it was a unicorn.
What's next?
Yeah,
but that's always going to have a bit of a soft spot in your heart. I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, fucking.
Even being a more common species,
it's just crazy. Everyone that I talk to about that, like, you know, I've been to Fog Dam that many times and never seen a water python. I've been in their range even more times than that, and I've never seen a water python. You know, hundreds of dollars have been spent expecting to find a water python. Never fucking found one.
Yeah.
Until the other month, and now I've seen freaking heaps of them, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I can make you feel bad. I went up there and it was bone damn dry, and even I stumbled across 4 of them my first trip.
Yeah, see, and that still annoys me, because I've been in, like, pristine conditions. I've been in, like, you know, people on the same trip as me who were on different cars had seen them. You know, it's just mind-blowing, but I just didn't. I just couldn't find them. And, it just did my head in. But done it now.
It's luck and timing it sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, well.
Oh, that's good. So, I mean, apart from your camera, do you have any sort of, like, other essential gear that you do take out herping with you?
Not really. If you seen me herping, you'd be, I don't know, you can ask Marcus Healy about it. He had a bit of trouble keeping up with me when he came out one time. I usually go barefoot. I'm in shorts. I'm either in a shirt or singlet. If I'm not in a singlet, I'm shirtless, and I run around with basically just the camera and a water bottle. I've started recently taking a water bottle. Most of the time I didn't take a water bottle, which is stupid. Don't do what I do. But yeah, basically,
it's bloody hot up there.
Up here is no question about it. No question. Yeah, it's amazing how much water you'll drink through here. I'll probably go through about 10 litres a day when you're herping, at least, and that's with, like, hydrolyte or anything like that to try replenish salts and stuff. It's amazing how much you can drink and still feel thirsty. But yeah, most of the time I'm just making sure I got my camera gear. I've started taking binoculars with me. That's not necessarily just for reptiles. I kind of just like seeing a lot of stuff, and sometimes it's cool to see particular birds. Again, up here, I don't really know a lot of the wildlife up here, particularly not reptile stuff. So it's nice to have binos to zoom in on particular birds or insects or whatever and see stuff. Yeah, I've got a first aid kit in the car. I think every herper should have that. I've recently added in a few plant sources that have been modified to take photos of things. I quickly realised that a lot of the snakes up here have a lot of energy about them, and sometimes it's just very handy to have a plant saucer to just stick them under and let them chill out for a minute. But other than that, yeah, not a lot. If I need a hook, I'll grab a stick. if I need a stick. So, yeah, again, I don't recommend doing what I do. I'm pretty fucking lazy.
That's fair enough. It was just one of those questions because, you know, like everybody's got something different. Like my one main thing that I definitely have with me every time I'm out is a bandage.
Yeah.
Like just at the very least, it's in my backpack.
Yeah.
Never had to pull it out whatsoever, but it's just in case shit.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things. You know, you can always expect the worst, but it never really happens. Like, I don't know, it never happens most of the time, but it only takes that one time for something to go wrong, that it does go wrong. Like that snake the other day that I've got photos of, when he shot over the diffuser and he hit me in the arm and the shoulder in the one thing and I didn't get bit, and me and my mate looked at each other and I'm like, how the fuck did that just happen? Because it smashed my mate's diffuser as well when he was taking photos of it. And yes, smashed venom all through it, and yeah, it was not a happy snake, and we didn't get a lot of good photos of it. I've only got 2, and they're basically identical photos, but yeah, it was not a snake that was willing to cooperate. But yeah, I don't know, in terms of, yeah, always take water, I suppose. That's probably the main thing. I've gotten really into hydrolyte, or anything like that. I've found, obviously up here you sweat a lot, so you lose a lot of salts, and being a PT, I'm kind of into making sure my body works optimally. But yeah, it's amazing how much that stuff helps when you don't think it does, particularly in the climate up here.
Yeah,
it's amazing what one little tablet can do in terms of your energy and how you function and think about things, and I guess essentially make critical decisions if you need to. So yeah, otherwise a headlight, you can never go past a good headlight. They're expensive, but buy yourself an LED lenser. For anyone that wants to go herping, you cannot go wrong with an LED lenser. It'll cost you $180.
Yep, they're good.
They're brilliant.
Yeah, I've gone through a few of them.
Yeah, I got 2 now. I bought a backup one because first time I've ever fully drained the battery on one out herping in Kakadu, and they obviously charge their funny little ways. You can't just replace the battery in them. Yeah, I ran out of battery on one, and I was not quite finished with my herping yet, so I went out and bought another one. So I got 2.
Yeah, I've been meaning to invest in one of those for a little while.
Yeah,
I've still got a good head torch, but it's
you think it's good. Trust me, you think it's good until you try an LED lens. It's insane.
Oh, I've got mates with them, and I always look over at their beam and everything and go,
you see everything in front of you for $50 fucking a kilometer. It's insane. I actually think sometimes they're too bright. I haven't talked to many other herpers with this, but eye shining, particularly geckos, is a bit of an art form, and I actually think it works better with lower light. I've had so much trouble with my LED lenser eye shining geckos.
Have you got the adjustable one?
Yep. I still think it's too bright. But I also struggle telling the difference with colours. I don't know if I'm colourblind. Many people will tell you I'm colourblind because I really struggle to distinguish colours. But seeing the pink eye shine is really, really hard for me, and more often than not, I end up seeing the gecko before I actually eye shine it. Whereas I've got mates who are freaking brilliant at eye shining things, and they'll see things from 20 meters away and just go pick them off walls or trees and go on, kind of thing. And 20 lizards later, I'm still trying to find one, but they're there.
Yeah, it is an art.
Yeah, I've heard that. I don't think I'll be too good at either.
We'll have a bit of practice together, mate, on Saturday night. It'll all go into plan.
Yeah,
go and find some frogs.
The key to getting the light is basically in between your eyes. So it's
yeah.
But frogs are pretty easy actually. They seem to shine a little brighter than geckos. I don't know if that's just me. I can pick frogs up relatively well. But
I can too.
The geckos have puzzled me a bit with the LED lenser because I used to be able to do it pretty well. Not so much anymore. Yeah.
Well, mate, this has been absolutely phenomenal. Do you have any more questions at all, Jace?
No, I'm good.
This has been an awesome chat, and we'll definitely have to get you on a little bit further on down the road as well, because I'm no doubt that you'll end up finding a whole bunch of other species to make me incredibly jealous up there.
Hopefully you'll come up for some of them.
Mate, I'm stinging. I'm hoping that these green trees come out happy and firing, and I can sell a couple and make some bank for some ventures.
Congratulations on that, by the way. That's pretty exciting.
Well, yeah, not until they hatch.
Well,
mate. That's one step at a time.
You've got to the point of getting eggs, which is a good step. So incubating is not too hard for the most part. So yeah,
she's doing it for me.
Oh, you're doing maternal. That's sick. That's cool. I rate that. I actually started doing maternal a lot with a lot of my stuff, and I rate that. It's a good way to do it.
I got the humidity and temperature sensor from Grid Connect just on top of her tank, but I actually went and just bought a separate hygrometer thermometer, and I just popped it down next to her today just so I can kind of see a little bit more about what's actually happening inside the box rather than the room itself. But yeah.
It's interesting too, because obviously incubating eggs, you're all so anal about stable temperatures and stable humidity and so on and so forth. But mum knows best, eh? If she needs to raise the humidity, she'll piss on the eggs, like as gross as that sounds. But I had several diamond pythons, and I let them maternally incubate, and that was just in bird nest boxes. And yeah, they made it work, and I actually incubated the clutch of eggs that got surgically removed, and all of them hatched. And I don't know if it was because they just got removed surgically or whatever, but that entire clutch ended up getting euthanizing. They were just terribly weak. But every clutch that was maternally incubated was brilliant. Strong babies, and really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to pull her off him, and I'm like, you know what? This is one of those things that I think she's going to do a way better job than I'll ever be able to do.
Yeah, and she almost set she will. It's cool, and seeing them hatch when the mum's wrapped around them, and you obviously have bright yellow babies heads popping out. It's going to be freaking cool. Make sure you set a baby camera up on them or something.
Dude, she's got a camera on her full time. I've been getting messages this whole time saying that it's been movement detected, and that's because the male's still in there with her. I've got to pull him out just before anything else happens. But I'm incredibly stoked. Hey, so it'll be a bit of a whirlwind adventure, but yeah,
that's awesome. I had greens. I had 4 greens for 3 or 4 years, and I got eggs every time, but killed them. Trying to incubate them. That was before I was convinced that maternally incubating was the right way to go. And when I moved up here, one of them went up to a mate of mine up in Cairns, which he bred it with one of Matt Somerville's, and she's now got eggs. And so kind of bitter about that, but it's all right.
It's all learning though, right? Like this is actually the first time I've done MI, and it's just like, okay, this is one of those times that I have to put my pride aside to say that I can do it.
Yeah.
And as much as it's risky with an animal that I've been trying to breed for years, it's just that thought of she knows where she needs to go. She's sitting down in the leaf litter. She won't let him go. She keeps trying to bite me when I try to get him off her. So just let her have him.
Is she a tame snake normally? She's pretty chill.
Nah. Oh, she's not like you can get her out and you can play around with her safely. But she's an arsehole around food like most greens.
Yeah, they're quick too, eh? Greens, they're another level of quick. It's pretty cool.
For a snake that sits on a stick all day, they can be quick and
when they want to move. Yeah, they can. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Oh, mate. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Just before you do bail out here at all, I mean, you can stay on for a bit afterwards or whatever, but did you have anything that you wanted to throw out there? Like, did you want to throw out your Instagram handle or something where people can come and follow you?
I suppose. If people want to follow me, you can follow me at LAJ_wildlife. But I mean, a lot of people think I'm learning all my photography myself. My photography has been built up by many, many people. Tropical Cole, Kat, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, Hoopstra or something. She's, Matt Somerville even. Heaps of people have helped me with photography, so I'm definitely not a self-taught person. So thank you to everyone who's helped me along the way and been patient with all my fucking questions and so on and so forth. Thanks.
Oh, that's good, man. All right, guys, well, we'll sign this off now. So we'd like to say a massive thank you to Eric and Owen and the rest of the MPR crew for having us. If you'd like to contact them, it's best to find them at moreliapythonradio.net and email them at info@moreliapythonradio.net. As far as contacting us on our social media platforms, you can email us at australianherpetoculture@gmail.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram as well. Make sure you check out our Teespring store for the podcast merch. The link is on the Facebook page. To see more of what Jason is doing, make sure to follow him on Facebook and Instagram at The Gecko Effect. For myself, you can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, and Teespring under Beach of Scaly Beasts. We hope to have you back here next week for another episode of the Australian Herpetoculture Podcast. Good night, guys.
Night.
Good night, guys.